Hey, what's up, Blipsounds? My name is Brian Seeley, and we are here for the May sound contest review, where we will be reviewing all of the videos from the May contest, which, as a reminder, it was the Wraith attack from Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor. You would think I would remember that since it's the game, one of my favorite games. But needless to say, I'm excited. I got one of my favorite t-shirts on from one of my favorite games, Star Wars The Old Republic. I got my favorite coffee mug. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You drank my coffee. Prepare to die. Not really. I love all of you, and I love everybody that's part of this community, and I am so excited to dive into these videos. We have 35 entries for the month of May. Now, I know we're a little bit late on getting to this video, so I apologize. And also, just as a reminder, the month of June contest is currently going on. For those who don't know, that's the one where we are recreating... we are recreating UI sounds from Doom and Animal Crossing, and we can only use our mouths, vocal cords, all that kind of stuff for all of the sounds. So any mouth sounds, any vocalizations, anything like that. So I'm extremely excited for diving into May. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on in. We will be chatting on YouTube and on Discord. I'll just put out a little note. Boom. All right, let's dive in. So first up, we have Nicholas. And by the way, these are all in random order. So oh, I do want to preface one other thing. We do track all of the entries that come in. Let me just add this so I don't forget it. Oh, I actually take that back. No, we have 38 entries so far. Well, let me... Oh, no, sorry. Too many things going on all at once. Things that I should have been prepped for. What was I going to say? Yes, okay, so these are all in random order, and we track them via some scripting that we set up. However, we noticed that some still get lost in the weeds for some reason. So as we're doing this, if you don't see your video, please go ahead and let me know if you posted it, whether it was to Twitter or if you shared it on Discord and I didn't see it. Just let me know so that we can make sure that we review your video. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive in. First up, we have Nico Sonic Shifts. Let me make sure my volume's good.
Hello everyone.
Hi Nico. Great video to start us off with. I want to listen to that again. I love that little delay, or not delay, that reverb there at the end of the video after you do the decapitation, where it's like that that hangs out, really sells that that kind of ghostly feel. Yes, Evan James on YouTube, this is very thick. Yes indeed. Nice bass, just nice intensity going on in general. Even recreating from Watermelon and White Noise. Interesting. Yeah, like, I love the intensity. I love that, just the ghostly reverb that you added. I even like that brief little, it's going to be hard to scrub this. That brief little pause just before the stab to the face. Like, no, I shouldn't say pause, but like how you dipped out some of those mids. That was really, really nice. Just a really, really good video overall, Neelis. Great job. I liked it. I don't know how, like, what more I could say that just wouldn't be nitpicking. I think you got a lot of good stuff going on. I think that beginning might, it could be like a little bit more. Who dat? I think you could have added a little bit more reverb or a little bit more just kind of like boominess to it. I don't know. I like I said, I love it overall. A great job on it. Really wonderful. You sell like that kind of ghostly attack side to it, but you also give it good movement, good flow. Next up is... So I can't tell if that's clipping or something going on. Okay. So off the bat, great job in terms of lining everything up. Like everything feels like it's hitting the way that it should be. What I'm lacking is intensity and depth, and that comes from adding more low end into the video that we're not getting, or into the sound that we're not getting. Like, you have some there on that punch, but the punch itself, like, as you can see, his arm glows, and then when he does that punch, there's this blue flash, and you can see that now the orc is stunned. And Hovig, you didn't see your submission. Can you share your submission on the challenge talk in Discord, and I'll make sure it gets added. So when there's this punch, it's not just a punch. It's a wraith punch, which causes the orc to be stunned. So we want to add more to it besides just the punch. I like that buildup you do with the whoosh. And it sounds like you have some sort of like underlying like tone or hum or something going in underneath, but there's not enough intensity, especially on this punch. I do like that slowdown though, where you do the and then I hear the tremolo speeding everything back up. So that's one of the highlights for me right there, is that when you do the stab, you do the EQ sweep, and then you use the tremolo to create movement to bring everything back up to speed, and that's a really, really good job, really good attention to detail. The little like just the little kind of stuff going underneath, this is just more of a personal thing. It's just kind of like meh. I get what you're doing with it. For me, it's just I don't really know that it's adding all that much, but I understand what you're trying to do. Like I said, there's good things that's happening here, but what we're mainly missing is a lot of feeling of impact and weight, which comes from adding in low end. I do like how the sword sounds. They're round robin enough so that they sound unique and interesting. Like, you could have some more impact on those final, like, that stab and then that head chop off, because adding that impact, especially now we're at the end of the attack, you want to create this climax. And it just kind of... It just kind of dies out. And, yeah, so, again, adding in, like, you could have used a punch... layer a punch into that and add some low end, something that would like have just created more intensity. Again, in terms of getting all the hits lined up, you did a great job. That the sword attacks were round robin or randomized. I think you did a great job with that. I love that slowdown at the end, and then you use the tremolo to create movement as you're going back into it. Those are all great things. It's just not having that low and not having those punches. The attack doesn't feel intense. It feels very weak. It doesn't feel like this is an intense Wraith attack. So that would be my only critique against that. But hey, thanks for participating in the contest, and thanks for being a part of our community, and I love that you entered in. Oh, Hovig, you were in there. You were the third entry down from the top. Where did I? Here we are. So I love that that low pass that you add, or yeah, like that. It's really nice effect. So that punch right there, like. He's giving clips with sound toys. Cool. There was no intensity to that punch, but I like the intensity of that face stab. And then same thing, like I said, for Sabbath, is that on that last hit, there's just no intensity on that decapitation. What am I trying to say? It loses that intensity because it's all high end and there's not really much low end going on. The other thing, while the sword hits were lined up, they sounded too much the same. And when they all sound exactly the same, you lose this sense of realism. You can change things up by even just grabbing a pitch shifter. So in Reaper comes with a native plugin that's just a pitch shifter, and then you can automate just moving the pitch up and down a little bit, and that helps to create some variety and some randomness. That's what I did for mine. Was I used the same sword sound, or the same knife along the grater, which is what Brittany provided, and I just used a pitch shifter on it so that it creates some more variety in there. When it's all just the same hit, it loses that sense of realism. Oh, I didn't go back far enough. And some of the hits there were kind of buried under the reverb or something that you were adding. I thought it was a neat effect because he goes all wraith-like there for a little bit. And I'm guessing you were probably trying to differentiate between when he was the wraith and when he was the human. Human. So again, it just goes back to like not having enough low end underneath to create that impact and that intensity, but then also just not having enough variety in those sword attacks when they're swinging. And again, that's something you can create by using a pitch shifter. I completely understand, and I know, like, I'm not trying to rip you to shreds. I'm not trying to rake you through the coals. There was a conversation, I think it was on the Off Topic channel, between TNS and someone else, talking about critiquing, especially like critiquing others and other studios and things like that, and not understanding context. And they were sharing about how, like, they would, especially the one guy would share how he used to critique like what other studios would do, and then until he realized in context they were oftentimes had such short turnarounds on video. And these were not for video games, but for like TV shows and stuff like that. Like they're given like a few hours or a day or something in terms of turnaround, and there's only so much you can do in that limited time. And so you have to pick up, you have to determine like, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to prioritize? What am I going to focus on? And what am I going to move on from? So yeah, when you're limited for time, you just kind of push and you go, okay, I've got what I've got. And that is going to happen. That is absolutely going to happen whether you're doing, whether you're working on a video game or you're working on a TV show or a movie, in that sometimes somebody will come at you with something that needs a quick turnaround and you need to get it done yesterday. And you have to prioritize, okay, what is the most important thing to get done, and what do I not have time to do? What do I just say, okay, I can't do this and I got to move on. So these are realities for us. I think everybody out there has a war story of somebody came to them and said, all right, we need this fixed now, and it's like 10 o'clock at night and it needs to be done before the next day. So, yeah, all that to say, you know the things that you can improve on. I think you did a great job. I love that you're part of our community. And yeah, I think adding in especially some more low end on there would make the hits feel much more intense. So yeah, thank you for being part of the contest. Next up is our good friend Jallo. You know, I've always been saying like Jallo Yang, and I have no idea if that's absolutely correct. I've never taken the time to ask you. So, Jallo, whether you want to like message me or tell me or any way, shape, or form, if you could let me know like how to say your name properly so that I'm not butchering it. I like that little schlop there right at the end for the head flying off. It's got to land somewhere. That's very true. I never even thought about that. That head is landing somewhere. Great job on that. That is really inventive. Like I said, I never thought about that, and I wonder how many other people's videos are going to have a little splatter for the head at the end. I love that. I love that. Great job. I love that creativity. Similar to what I said for Hovig, is that those sword sounds, while there's some sort of like pitch or something going on where the pitch is getting higher, it still sounds like the same attack in and of it still sounds like the same sword sound. And it's not adding enough variety in there. And that little chime sound, I think you could have delayed that chime sound a little bit more and added the chime sound right when he stabs him in the face, because that's when things seem to really slow down the most. There's some, again, great intensity on the face stab. But again, we lose that intensity on that last decapitation, and that's where we need it to be the most intense, where it's like this just boom, because, you know, now the attack is over. You know, we've had this rising in action, this brief pause, and then another rise, and then it's over, and we miss it when we don't get that that final intensity on the attack. I like that little build up. There's a lot of treble, and I wish that there was some more low end to the video. I do like that, whatever that sound, that right after the punch, kind of gives him the sense that now he's moving with superhuman ability. So great job with that. I've stared at this video for way too long. I want to dance to it. Great job, Jallo. Thank you for being part of our community and for submitting. I mean, you've been a part of nearly almost all of our competitions. Who we have? Let's see what you... Max Pavlov. Let's check out your video. I like the little right at the very end when everything goes dark. If I really hope that was on purpose. So whereas the other videos, my general complaint was that there was a lot of high end and not enough low end, now I'm going to reverse it and say there was a lot of low end and really not a lot of high end. And I know everybody's yelling, saying, Brian, how dare you? Why can't you make up your mind? And so this was good intensity all around, but not enough clarity at the top. So, like I said, a lot of intensity. There's a lot of weight to it. But on play, like that punch just doesn't have... It has like this kind of boominess to it, but there's no like intensity behind it. Like there's this effect going on. Let's see. So he's glowing like this is a punch that has left him stunned, and he's what was I gonna say? Like the punch has left him stunned, but it's not like there's nothing from the sound that iterates that this is some sort of superhuman punch, that it's just a punch. I like the variety of the sword sounds. How it sounds like you were using the are you saying like, sorry, I'm got distracted reading the Discord chat. Or you think it's getting picked up by both the mic and... Does it sound different if I... Oh, whoa, that's new. So did that sound better when I had the mic muted at that point? Okay then. Well, time for the old trusty... Oh, lost my cat. All right, so you might hear a little bit more phasing. There might be some bleed from these headsets, so I will apologize in advance. Let's try this again now. Okay, so as I was saying, there's a lot more low end in this. I'm going to listen to it a little bit more now that I got headsets on, so bear with me. So I love the variety you got in the sword swings. Like I said, there's a lot more low end. There's a lot more low end in this, which is good. You're giving it a lot more weight. It'd be nice to have a little bit more high end in it, just to bring out some of that clarity. Especially like on that face stab there, great intensity. But we don't have any sort of like ching or anything like that. You could even have that that little chime, that you could have that go the entire length of that face stab before the decapitation. Like I said, I love the low end. I love the intensity. And my other big critique is just that punch needs to be something more, because like there's a lot in terms of what's going on visually. And I know I've said this before, so I apologize for sounding like a broken record, but when you see something on screen, when something is animated, it needs to have sound to it. So we see him getting punched, and then we see him glowing because he's been wraith stunned. So we need to give sound to that. What does being wraith punched sound like, and what does being stunned by this wraith punch sound like? He's glowing blue. That needs to have some kind of sound to it. And you know, we need to make this punch sound different than just a normal punch. And there was an opportunity there to have some sort of punch with a nice long reverb tail, and then some sort of sound for like while he's, you know, in a daze or something like that. And then, and so you notice on that face stab, there's a little screen jitter. You know, and again, that's where we want to drive that intensity, because if there's screen jitter, then that means that this effect is intense, and we want to sell that. Let me back that up. So that's where you could have that opportunity to really sell that face stab and then that final decapitation. Again, you know, we are moving to that end. We are moving to the final climax, and we want it to be a huge, intense hit. But like I said, I love the fact that there was a lot more low end, that it was a lot more intense, and really appreciate what you added to it. So now we have Le Berned Audio. Overall, I like it. There's a lot of good things happening. It feels like there's a lot going on mid-range wise. So I don't know if that's just from compression from loading it to Twitter. I know that sometimes when you load a video to Twitter, like weird compression stuff can happen. I like that there was this build just before the decapitation. Almost sounds like one of those string glissandos, like just before something intense happens. So really nice effect. I just wish that there would have been more of that. So again, I wonder how much of that is just from compression on Twitter. So I like that punch with the tail that you gave to it. I think my other big critique is when you have that underlying hum going underneath it. I think you could have, with an EQ, maybe pulled out somewhere between 200 and 500 hertz, because it's adding some weird weight. So, I do like the that you layered the sword and the punch sounds together to add some more intensity to that. I think that was a nice touch. And like I said, I really love that build there at the end. Again, I don't know how much of it was just impacted by Twitter's compression. Aw, Jonathan, we miss you. So, well, this video will be available to watch later. Overall, like, a great job in terms of getting everything synced and well organized. I think the biggest thing, again, just goes back to sorry, I'm just all over the place. The biggest thing goes back to having a little bit more high end in there, and it just sounds too mid-rangey, but again, it could be just the Twitter compression. The Twitter compression. I have Orkin Murat. Nice. Nice. I like it a lot. So I love that go away. I love that punch and that reverb tail. Like, it makes the punch feel intense, that just underneath. I would have liked, so that other reverb that you were adding, that whatever reverse sound that was coming in, that is that's a personal call as to where it should end, whether it should have ended at the punch or ended just before. I think you could have gone up to the punch, but again, like, I could see arguments being made for the other way, and I think that that's just it's a personal preference. And I would say, and again, I know we're under a lot of tight constraints, but I think, so this second punch isn't a Wraith punch. So I wouldn't have added that that same reverb sound underneath it. I would have added something different. Like, again, maybe you could have done that, but added a low pass filter that sweeps down. Or just cut all that out entirely, cut out that reverb, and then wait for when he does the face stab, because I really like the sound of that face stab. And then I'm not sure what was going in underneath it, but I like whatever sound you had at the end that just gave it a very ghostly sound. Ah, no, stop it. Overall, good balance on everything. Nothing really was poking out to me. There wasn't, like, I wasn't concerned about any of the EQ stuff. I love that intensity that you were giving to it. And again, that kind of ghostly sound. So great job overall, Orkin. Next up is auxiliary audio. I really like that build there at the end. Great job on that build. Again, a lot of high end going on. Not really anything in the low end, and nothing really selling weight and intensity. Great job on that face stabbing as well. The sword sound, especially right there at the end, and it probably has to do with just having a lot of high end, but that sword sound on the decapitation is a little too grating. I get the, no pun intended, that it was a knife on a cheese grater. Like, it was just a little too loud, and I felt like you could have blended that in a lot better. Juicy slices. Yeah, even there would have been a great opportunity to add some of those watermelon sounds in. Yeah, again, just like I was saying on a lot of the videos from the beginning, having more of that low end underneath sells like the intensity and the weight of the attack. I like the sounds they use. Again, it goes back to just having a lot of high end. It wasn't as intense, and that high end chime just gets grating after a while. And it's one of those things where if it would cause a lot of fatigue hearing that over and over and over again. So, oh, sorry. Great job in terms of like actually finishing and submitting, which is a huge deal. Thank you for being part of our community and for submitting to the competition. Who do we got up next? Decision Audio. Ooh. I like that a lot. I want to listen to that again. So that intro punch was intense. I love everything about that. There's a lot of good stuff. That intro punch sounds intense. Like, it almost feels like it's about ready to take his head off. Like, that was so good. I'm missing that intense decapitation right at the end. I love that kind of wave sound that you were giving that adds that ghostly feel to the end of it. Such a good job. And again, similar to what I picked on with someone else. So this Wraith punch is very different from this punch, which is just a normal punch. So you do want to make them sound a little bit different. And having some sort of like pause or something like to emphasize that screen shake, but then also just this moment of pause just before he does the final decapitation. Like, it's one of those where, and this is kind of grotesque and intense to think about. So he's hacking up the orc, and then he does the final stab. And again, from Lord of the Rings mythology, which states that you can only kill an orc by decapitating them. So just because you stabbed him doesn't necessarily mean he's dead, but there's like this stab. The screen shakes a little bit. Actually, he's probably stabbing. I don't know how he's stabbing, but he stabs. The screen shakes a little bit, and there's this brief moment of pause, almost as though like the orc and like the orc is contemplating everything that has just happened just before the final decapitation. And so you can drop out, like either do like a low pass filter that sweeps down, or something that just conveys like this brief moment of pause before finally he pulls out, and then he does that final decapitation. And I just want to sell that intensity. Like, that's why I emphasize, like, on that final decapitation, you should have some more low end into there just to sell that intensity. But like I said, I love a lot of what you did. I love that ghostly feel that you gave to it. I love that intro punch. It feels intense. It sounds intense. It really sells that this is, if this is a punch that is going to stun lock someone, it needs to be a punch. So I think my other little nitpick is, again, somehow giving sound to him glowing. So, but great job overall. I love it. Thank you for being, for entering the contest and being part of our community. And what was that? Yeah. Lewis. Great job. Interesting choices here. I like a lot of the things that you did. So I can hear like that sort of tape stop effect that you did when he gets stabbed in the face. And then it sounds like, you know, it slows down and then it picks right back up again. Again, that final decapitation is just, it's a little too high pitch and not enough intensity behind it. I like that you gave the orc this sound when he's glowing. The sword swings are what sound the weirdest for me. Like, not sure if they're in sync, but it's just it sounds weird. So yeah, some good things going on there. I like some of the sounds that you did. Some of the things sound a little weird, like the sword attacks there. They don't feel like they're in sync or that they're really hitting. I'm guessing you were trying to give some differences between the human strike and then the wraith, and then human, wraith. I like that tape stop effect, and then as you hear everything start to speed back up. And again, just wishing that there was more intensity on that last decapitation. Professor Garrus. Get rid of you. Let me pump this up. So one, I like that it isn't so high-end heavy, but again, broken record here. Wish that you could add a little bit more low end to it. Some good intensity in there, just, or I should say, like, some good movement in there, just not enough intensity. Like, that punch is just a punch, and there's nothing going on to signify that it's a wraith punch. I did like that you put in little footsteps. It's a nice little touch. I do hear that you were adding some more layers to that decapitation besides just the sword swing, so great job on that. I can hear that there's some layers going on in there. You could have brought them out a little bit more to make that final attack more intense. Like, I think you layered in, like, the punch and maybe the axe handle sound besides just the sword swing, and I think you could have brought those out more to really sell that intensity. And I think you also did the head dropping. Yeah, with a little at the end. Nice touch. I like that. Sam H. Sound Design. First time getting involved with the comp. Nice. Well, welcome, Sam. Thank you for being part of our competition. Oh, was that me? Nice. I like that we have more people adding in sounds for that head falling. Heads will roll. So the first, right off the bat, those sword grating sounds that you, or the knife grate sounds, knife on the cheese grater sound that you're using for the sword were way too loud, way too intense, or I should just way too loud for the sound, and it becomes very fatiguing after a while. Also, and I noticed a few people made this choice that trying to, and which I think is a good thing to do, to try and animate the human and the wraith attacks a little bit different when they're doing the sword swings. But it feels so disjointed when you're only giving the human attack just the sword and juiciness and everything else, and not doing anything with the wraith. It starts to feel like now they're not lining up. Like there's a whole bunch of attacks going on, but you only hear 3. So it feels really weird. So in this instance, to keep consistency, rather than only giving some sort of sword attack sound just to the human attack, you'd want to give something to the wraith attack too, so that there's consistency between them, and then you could just create variations between them, and that's really that'll help sell like that there's a lot of attacks going on, because now it feels like this attack counter is going up, but I only heard like 3 attacks. I love that intensity on that decapitation. Again, pulling down that sword grate sound would, or that sword sound right at the end of the decapitation would help a lot more, and you could pull up some of the low end of that attack. I love even that you panned it over to the right side when the head drops. Again, just nice little touch. So yeah, that's my biggest thing, is that the sword sounds are just way too loud compared to everything else. You could pull those down a lot. Thank you, Sam, for being part. Like, I'm so glad that you chose to be a part of what we're doing. I hope you're doing the June competition, and I can't wait to see what you do with that. Welcome to our community. Know me. I like the layer of sounds in there, especially on that decapitation. Similar thing, and I have a feeling there's going to be other people that have done this. When you're, again, the sword swings for the human and the wraith attack is still an attack. So again, it feels disjointed when you're only giving sounds to the human attack and not to the wraith attack itself. I like a lot of the movement that you have going in underneath. That build up and to the first punch is nice, but again, just missing that reverb tail to really sell like this was a wraith punch. Like, you want that to be just like boom, like, because he gets hit and now he's stunned. Like, you want that to feel intense. Like yeah, I'm not gonna harp on it too much longer. I like the movement that you have going on with the white noise. In terms of that axe handle sound, I think you could have done more processing on it because the axe handle still pokes out too much. But it does add intensity to that final hit. Your sword sounds are blended in really well. They're not poking out too much, but I think you could have tamed the high end just a little bit more. But like I said, I love the intensity. I love the movement that you're creating. I think you just could have added more of a intensity and reverb tail to that initial punch just to sell like this is powerful. So, and hi Nomi. Mr. Wyatt Walker. There's a lot of great things going on in here, and then a lot of things that are missing. So, like, there's not really a build-up before that first punch. And then, similar to what I've said for others, is that there's no reverb tail on that initial punch. So it hits, and there's a lot of stuff going on screen, but nothing that's being given audio. I love the intensity of that face stab and then that final decapitation. And whatever sound that you got, again, just selling that there's a spiritual component in it, that there's something magical going on. So I love the sounds that you got. Again, the things that are missing, like nothing that no buildup and nothing that happens after the punch. And then not getting that punch right there. But I love the intensity that you got on the face stab and the decapitation. Great blending of high end and low end, like nothing that feels like it's sticking out too much. Just wonderful intensity overall. Great job on that. I like that, whatever that. Let's check out Mr. Eshkor. Oh, that's. Hold on. It's like, why isn't it playing? All right, Eshkor. I'm going to go on a limb here and say that for some reason the Twitter compression just acts really it's doing all sorts of weird stuff, and I don't want to unfairly judge this video because I know that Eshkor has done like great work in the past. And it sounds like there's a lot of compression, distortion going on. Like I keep hearing these sounds like pop in and out. like there's like a low hum and some other things happening. So I'm gonna judge it based on what it's hearing, but contextually recognizing that for some reason, or contextually recognizing that I think Twitter compression is doing a lot of weird things to this. Yeah, that Eshkor, when you get this, could you resubmit like with a link on YouTube, because I'm pretty sure that what you did was better than what this is sounding like. So yeah, I'm gonna move on from there. A tragic fake. What was it? Nice. So, I like that punch that you're giving, but then again, no reverb tail that follows after it. And I like how you were differentiating between the human sword and the wraith sword. I think you could have dialed that reverb back just a little bit, because again, it gets a little too disjointed. But I like that it's still different enough, but that you can still hear everything. A lot of good intensity. I can hear some low end in there, so it's not all just high end. There's adding some intensity. That intro punch is really nice. But again, would have been nice to have some more reverb tail on that to sell, again, the intensity of the wraith punch. It sounds like you were giving some panning between the wraith hits and the reverb. At least that's what it sounds like on the headphones. Overall, I mean, again, some of these things I think you can go down to personal. Like, I would have loved to have heard something that denotes like the face stab, and then the world just seems to like pause momentarily. I mean, you did that with the reverb on the sword, the shing. Maybe put like also like a low end, like or like a like a low end like hum or rumble, like the something that just like I can do a low end sound, something that just plays underneath. I like I said, I like the intensity of what's going on there. It doesn't it doesn't feel like there's it doesn't feel like it's just high end. I think you could have had a little bit more low end to it, dude. Like push it just a little bit more, especially on those last attacks. Just to, again, sell the intensity. But very clean overall. So yeah, very clean. So great job on that. Really enjoyed that one. Liam Fowler. I like that wong, that kind of bell sound. Nice. That's the intensity we were going for. Same thing with the Wraith and human attacks. I like that you added in reverb to differentiate between them. I think you could have just dialed the reverb back a lot. But I love that low-end rumble you gave on the face stab. And that intensity on the last attack. It's like you were listening to what I was saying. Oh, just nice. Just, I love it. Great job. I love a lot of what's going on in there. You're selling the intensity of it. That bell chime. So this is just nitpicking. But where it has that, if there, with that bell chime, if there could have been something, like some sort of transient on that bell chime, the or something, so that when he hits, so it's not just a but adding a transient layer to the punch on that bell tone would have been really, really nice. And then again, just taking a little bit of reverb off of the Wraith sword swings. But there's a lot of intensity going on in there, and it makes the attack feel and sound huge. So I really enjoyed that. Great job with it. Let me just take care of this so I don't keep hitting things. Nope, 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 nope. We were on Liam Fowler. So, yeah, I love the intensity and the attack on that. Great job with it. Great job indeed. Let's check out who we got next. Chris. Ooh, Chris. Chris, are you on? Are you hanging out with us? You sort of are. Let me text Chris. He's going to want to be a part of this. Come on. Come on. There we go. Sort of. Come on. All right, let's check out Chris Blips. This is Chris, one of our mods, or actually one of our admins. Let's check it out. Nice, nice. A lot of good things going on. Made that opening punch sound like a gunshot and whip crack. Dang, just like a clap of thunder. Ooh, and then I like the that layer underneath when he's doing the sword swings. So when he has the like that's going on, he says he can't. That jerk. So when you hear that, I don't know what to call it, that reverb layer underneath that's increasing in pitch. So that's adding in more movement and making it feel like it's going faster. I do like that, whatever that... Oh, it was on the face tab. Like, there's a lot of good intensity going on in there, and a lot of good things. So I will nitpick again. There's all this glowing going on screen, and Chris is here. He's joined us. There's a lot of glowing on the screen that's not being that the sound isn't being given to. But that's probably my one and only nitpick. Other than that, I love a lot of what's going on in here. I think you could have made that final decapitation a little bit more intense, like add a little bit more reverb to it just for that final, like, you know, where the Ranger is just all like, and then it's just kind of this moment of like, yeah, I'm BA and I know it. Oh, I love a lot of what's going on in there. Great job, Chris. Just heart. Great job overall. I love it. Chris Parker, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Tricky. Jeremiah George. Love that name. Jeez. All right, I need a minute after that one. That one was intense. Whew. Wow. Okay, I need to listen to that again. Goodness. Hold on. This is my entry for the Blipsounds sound design contest for this month. My first time entering this competition since I started learning sound design this month. What? Like, just learning sound design, yet you've been like doing music and production and other stuff like that? Or like you're literally, because if you're literally just starting out in all of this, first of all, I'm really angry because dang, that sounded amazing. Yeah, holy cow. That just sounds amazing. Oh my goodness, I have to listen to this again. No, Chris, no. No, it could be hooray for both of you. Oh my goodness. Okay, so as is my tradition, because I have to find some nitpicks. My one nitpick will be largely volume. So volume and dynamics. So the sword swings like here, they are too loud. I love the intensity. I love the variety. I love the movement you gave underneath it. Like I hear this. I love this face stab sound. Like, it sounds like something that would have been out of Mortal Kombat 11. Again, my nitpick is that it's too loud. So, because it's so loud, there's not a way to build intensity. It's just this constant, just this wall of sound. So, similar, because again, I'm assuming you have a lot of background doing like music composition or production or something like that. So similar with music, like you want to create dynamics and you want to create movement and you want to create excitement, and you do this by the music is constantly moving somewhere. It's not just loud all the time. So in this instance, because it's basically loud from when he starts the sword swings all the way to the decapitation, there's no chance for there to be dynamics and for there to be moving towards intensity. But like I said, I love the I love that intensity that you got. I love the movement. I love the sword sounds and that face stab with just the intensity that goes on, like that cell, like the face stab with the I'm assuming that's just heavy processing on the watermelon. You see, because you have that face stab, and then the decapitation just doesn't feel as intense as it could have because of how loud it was. But goodness, the whole thing just sounded so good. Like that would be, again, my nitpick is just it's too loud. I love it. I could listen to that all day. Just so good. And again, since you started learning sound design this month, like I hate you if you just started learning sound design. But I mean, I hate you in like the best way possible, because like, dang it, you're just so good. Oh man, that's amazing. All right, let me hollow core. Let me make sure you're getting added in. Yeah, I did mention this at the beginning of the stream in case people are like, why are everybody telling them about lost submissions? So we built a script that tracks the Blipsound comp hashtag, but we still recognize that certain videos or certain submissions just aren't showing up despite that. And we don't know why that's the case. It's even happened when we searched by the hashtag, and it's happened to our script. So we're just telling people, hey, if we're doing this and you don't see your submission anywhere, like, just let us know. And this now bumps us up to now 40 submissions, which is great. That's awesome. That was Mr. Tricky. Let's go ahead and do Jay Sabins, and then maybe we'll take like a quick break. Nice. Okay, let's... What in the world? Oh. So there's a lot of great intensity going on. I love the good dynamic spread, like nothing... it's got good low end to it, good high end. So again, like I've been picking on with a lot of other people, this punch is nice, but it just needs more to it, like some sort of reverb tail, something that just sells that intensity. I like that there was this pitch up overall and that there was a lot of variety on those sword attacks. That was really, really good. Ooh, that was nice. That into the face stab. My other critique would be on that final decapitation to do a little bit more processing on that grate so that it doesn't just sound like a so that there's a little bit more going on to it with the decapitation. Like I love that chime that you got, the great movement. Everything feels really tight in terms of the video. Like the hits feel tight. Everything moves the way that it should. All of your reverse sounds and reverbs move with the video and feel very tight. It's really, really great job. Good dynamics. And that last decapitation feels intense. Again, it could have felt bigger, but it still feels intense, and you did a great job with that. What time is it? It is, for me, it is 2:28, and we still have about 20 left to go. So let's just go ahead and take a... let's just take a quick, like, 5-minute breather. We don't need to take a full 15-minute breather because I don't want to waste too much time. So let's just take a break for 5 minutes so I can clear my head, and we will try and get through these last 20. So thanks all for hanging out, and I'll see you back after our little break. Hey, I'm back, everybody. Sorry about the delay. All right. Alrighty then. Let's dive back into everything. So Eshkor shared a new video with us, so let's go ahead and check this bad boy out, because I want to give him a fair, I want to give everybody a fair shake. All right, so diving right back into it, here are some of what I'm all right. So there's some sort of like what sounds like a hiss or a hum or something that's playing out, and that's what I thought was part of the Twitter compression. I know that there are some plugins that artificially add in like a tape hiss or a hum, and so I'm wondering if you were using a plugin like some SSL plugins, some SSL emulators add in hum and hiss. I do like that you gave sound to the what do you call it, to the head rolling away. Yeah, it overall it feels very mid-rangey, and that's why I was wondering if it was from the Twitter compression. The sword attacks feel a little disjointed. I am Astro. Okay, thanks for... Do I have you in there? Yes, I do. Astro, I do have your video in there. You'll be coming up. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, because there's there's that hum that plays in underneath. And so that's why I was just wondering like what you were using that would have caused that tape hum, because it does sound like either that or you pushed it through a lot of saturation or something. Because even the sword sounds sound like they're heavily compressed and saturated. Yeah, it's so with that, like it feels like it's losing a lot because it feels like it's very compressed, and that there's not a lot of low end, and then with the high end it's that ringing of the sword, and that just feels like, I don't know the word for it. It just, I'm not sure. It's hard to explain. I like that punch at the beginning, and I do... Yeah, it would have been nice to have some movement underneath the sword attack as well. You know, that movement that helps to sell like it's speeding up, that there's intensity. And then having something there when he does that stab, again, just this. So, but, you know, that's the, yeah, I don't want to sit there and just like rake it the entire time, because that's not fun. I like it overall. I like a lot of the things that you're doing in there. It just, if for some reason, it just feels like it's very compressed and very saturated. As long as you got a lesson out of it, as long as you got something out of it. And that's what I'm confused by, Eshcore, because normally a lot of the stuff that you do for our contest, they sound really, really good. And that's where I'm like, this isn't like Eshcore's level. So sometimes it happens. We all have bad days. So hopefully you'll be part of the June competition, and hopefully you will just come in and kill it and knock it out of the park. Ba-doop, 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 ba-doop-ba-doo-wah. All right, now on to Peter Hockey. Hawkeye. Hockey. Joaquin. So the first part of the attack feels like it's coming to a festival near you. Dubstep remix. There is a lot of really nice low end going on in this attack. Just a lot of intensity. I love a lot of the tones and chords that you were getting. And things like that, things that helped feel like it's got a sense of movement going on to it. One of my biggest nitpicks will be, again, with the human and wraith sword attacks. You're adding all of this high-end and low-end attack to the human attack and nothing to the wraith attack, and it just sounds, very disjointed. Like, I hear the whoo that you're doing, and that's good. I just would have liked a little bit more transient on those, because they're still attacks, like they're still counting as hits. So you want to make them sound and feel like hits. I love that pause. Like, so you have all of this frenetic energy going on. And then it just stops and right at that head stab, that whooshing, and it, so going from this frenetic energy right to there gives it great movement. The frenetic build gives it movement, builds, and then there's the face stab, and then that's what makes the whole world feels like it slows down and stops. And that's how you can use audio to really sell this effect that like things have slowed down. Great job with that. Really, really well done. Hold on. I love how you added in that head. There's off on the side. I'm angry that I didn't think about that. I'm just so frustrated. Davis Jordan, so are you asking, like, what sounds did he use to make that energy? Oh, frenetic. Oh. So, frenetic, it just means something that's like, frantic. Why is that the only word coming to my mind? So frenetic just means something that's like fast moving, something that's like chaotic, something that has a lot of intensity. And so yeah, when I say something is frenetic, like usually when I think like a great visual example for me would be like you walk into a room and there's like 20 little kids all running around yelling and screaming, doing a million different things all at once, and you're looking at it and you're like, I don't know where to put my attention. Like everything just feels like it's all happening at once. And so it's like this frenetic energy. So when fast, energetic, there you go. See? It's almost like it's a portmanteau. So, and he accomplishes that by having the attacks, but then also having that that drone underneath that. He doesn't really give it a pitch rise, but he's giving it a lot of tremolo, so it's got that wah, 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 underneath. And then that all goes away as soon as he does. But then as soon as he does the face stab, like it just cuts away, and it gives this feeling of everything has moved quickly and now it's stopped. I see, but can it be in a more simplified system? What do you mean by simplified system? See, but can it... Oh, did I... Why was I clipping there? That was weird. So I see, but can it be in a more simplified system? Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by a simplified system. Like the sharpness of a sound. Yeah. Or aesthetic, I suppose. Yeah, you can... So that's not to say this is the only way you can create frenetic sound. It's... or, you know, something that feels frenetic. You would create it by having what we call movement in sound design. And this is where you create movement by having a sound, and instead of the sound just being static, you could do a pitch rise. You could take and automate a tremolo so that the tremolo gets faster and faster. So something that's like wah 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 wah, and then combine that with a pitch rise. So wah 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 wah, and because we consciously think of movement in terms of a sound moving somewhere, we've been conditioned to think that that means something is going faster, and this is where we talk about what was the term I've used before? Oh, psychoacoustics. So when we hear something move and the pitch gets higher and sometimes the tremolo gets faster, we think of like an engine, for example. So when an engine revs up, like when you're driving, especially if you've ever, like when you're driving in the car and you put your foot on the gas and you accelerate, what does the engine do? It goes... It gets louder, the pitch rises, especially some engines with automatic transmissions where it has a hard shift, or you're in a manual, you'll hear the wah, wah, wah. And so each of the gears will have different pitches to it, but generally overall the pitch is getting higher, the sound of the engine is getting louder, and you see the RPMs creep up until you get to a cruising speed. And then when you get to a cruising speed, the RPMs drop back down, and then the engine just kind of levels off. But leading up to that, you hear this movement of sound. Same thing if you've ever taken any other object and set it in motion. As the object goes faster, it gets louder and the sound goes up. And then what we also call the Doppler effect, as something is moving closer towards you, the sound gets louder and the pitch goes up until it gets past you. So the Doppler effect, you hear that anytime, like say a car with a horn goes by or a siren goes by, like wee 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 wee. That's a Doppler effect. But we hear it's just something getting closer and then goes away. We hear something getting faster. The pitch rises. It gets louder. That's a way of creating movement. And the more layers you add to it, you can make it feel more frenetic because you have a lot of energy behind it. It's not just one sound moving up. It's a whole lot of sounds working in chorus together to create this intense energy. I know that was kind of a long way of explaining it. But I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, I'm really sorry. Maybe I misunderstood. Feel free to message me on Discord or ask the question away in Discord, and maybe we could have more dialogue back and forth there. Because I feel like maybe I might not be understanding your question. We did Peter Hawke's Pipe Dream. I like that build there just before the decapitation. That was a really nice. That was really, really nice. Did you take like a sound, slow it down, and then reverse it or something to that effect? Because it sounds like there's a lot of artifacts of something having gone slower. The intro punch, like I like some of the sounds that you added in, but again, that intro punch just doesn't have enough intensity behind it. I like the sounds. So that sound that you added in right when you started those attacks, that would have been a great sound to add in after the punch, because that would be a nice... So when he gets punched and now he's glowing, right? So as I've said before, if something is happening on screen, we want to give it a sound. The animators took time to make it. We should give it some sound. So now he's glowing after this punch. Take the sound that starts when he's doing the slashing and start it sooner, or just make it longer and start it on the orc after he gets punched. Because there's all of these things going on screen that aren't being given sound, like his fist or his whole arm has now gone white. He does this punch, there's this splash of energy, and the orc has turned colors. So I really like this sound that you're using here. And I think you could have used that to fill in and give audio to when the orc turns blue. That final face stab and decapitation sound really, really good. I love that. And then that build, that sounds really good. It's a lot of intensity. I think that final face stab, I think, is in terms of volume, or in terms of volume, I think it's a little too loud compared to everything else. So it kind of jumps in volume, whereas it's already standing out because you have that underlying hum, that when you have that stop, and when he does the face stab, that'll make that face stab sound bigger because now nothing else is playing. but I like the sound overall. I like, even again, you gave the head a sound when it falls. Something I didn't think about doing, and I'm so mad about. You guys are showing me up, which is awesome. I love it. I'm glad that you're showing me up. Yeah, I wish that punch had more intensity, and that little kind of whatever chorus thing you had going on starts as soon as the orc turns blue. That would be the biggest thing. I think that would be, it would make it so much more better. It's a great sound as it is, and that would just like take it from like great to amazing. Great job, Justin. Lewis 02. So first thing right off is that it sounds like everything is just a hair behind. It could be just because when you rendered this, if you rendered it at like 30 frames per second or less, the sounds may not all line up. And the sword sounds are a little too loud compared to everything else, and they can get kind of grating and fatiguing, especially like when the orc pulls that sword out, like that sounds really loud. And the thing is that when you're making that sound louder than everything else, you're drawing everyone's attention to that, but really everyone's attention needs to be on the buildup of the wraith attack. So that sword sound, it should have like a shink, but it should be much quieter, because we want to draw the action to when his arm changes right there. Because remember, he's center screen, so our ranger is center screen, and that's where our focus should be. That's where it's drawing our eyes to and into that punch. And again, it could just be because of the delay from when you exported the video, but the sword hits don't feel like they're lining up. I like a lot of your delay sounds. I like the sound that you're using there, like that little that's going on with the orc there. That's a lot of fun. And then I noticed you even give it a little bit of a pitch change when the sword swings start. And because everything is just loud, again, there's really not anywhere for there to be dynamics, anywhere for the sound to go. And so it just kind of goes and it's just loud the entire time, rather than there being some kind of dynamic rise that leads to a final conclusion. Good job. There's some good things going on in there. There was some good attention to detail. I think there were just some other things that needed some more attention. Briss Rector, Brian Dupree. Let's check this out. So, one of the biggest things that's standing out to me is that there's a lot of mid-range, especially in that like 1 to 5K range, but there's not really much in the way of clarity in the high end or intensity in the low end. Like that's more in the 200 to 500 hertz range, that punch. I like the build that you were using when he starts the attack. But I think you should have cut that right as soon as he does the face stab. So you have the and then just let there be the face stab. So again, what we were talking about a few videos ago, where we were talking about frenetic energy. So you have this movement going on, and you know, it's like da 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 da, and then when you stop it, boom, like you can almost feel like you're in a car ride. And if you've ever been in a car that's like stopped suddenly, or like you're on a roller coaster ride and it stops suddenly, that's the feeling we want to create. So we want to have this movement like and that's a great way to sell that face stab, because again, there's screen jitter, and then there's this moment where it's like he's just holding the sword there and the orc is just kind of there in this stunned silence. How do we create that feeling? And we create it by having all of this energy build right there, and then boom, stop that energy build. Like stop it suddenly, so it feels like the whole world is slowed down, and then it picks right back up again. And now the world has gone back to normal speed. And so that's what's being animated, and that's the feeling we want to create. But like I said, there's not a lot of high-end clarity and not a lot of low-end punch to really sell the intensity of what's going on. I like the reverb on that punch. I like what you're trying to do, because it makes the punch sound more supernatural. So, but yeah, great job. I'm glad that you enjoyed the feedback from last month. I hope this was helpful for you too, and I hope that you participate in June's contest. All right, James Short. Nice. Whole lot of stuff going on. First thing, again, that sword sound when the orc unsheaths his sword, you could make that quieter. And also with the human and the wraith attack, I get what you were trying to do, because they do look like two different attacks, but they're both attacking and doing damage to the orc. So we still want to create some intensity there. That said, holy crap, I love everything else that you're doing. It sounds incredible. I would have liked for a bit more intensity on that punch, but I love the sound that you created. Like, it gives this sort of like superhuman sound, and that's just absolutely incredible. So great job on that. Like, I love the intensity that you created on that. Just from beginning to end, it feels intense. I think you could have be careful with that high end, because it's just almost in the territory of grating and fatiguing. But my word, I love that intensity that you got. Like, it feels from the moment the attack is going on, like, just holy cow, this is ridiculous. Like, what it does is that it doesn't give you a moment to rest until the attack is over, and that's what makes it feel so good. Like, it's just this like intensity and you're wrapped up into it. And then, okay, now I can breathe. So great job. I love the intensity. I love the decisions you made. I think with the sword attacks between the human and wraith, I think you should have given the wraith attacks a bit more, some more transience, just so it doesn't feel so disjointed during that. But great job. I love that. That was wonderful. Warren, SR 145. Again, great intensity. There's some dynamics, but it does feel really good overall. I love that punch. It's got a nice, intense, and snap to it. I think you could even have started that build a little bit sooner, right where that arm starts to turn. Oh, that sounds so good. It's just really nice. I think, again, you could have given the orc a little bit more sound, and then you could have given a build during the rapid sword attack. Well, I take that back. Have that build go all the way from the punch to the face stab. Because, again, like I've been talking like a broken record, is that there's movement, stop. And then it helps to sell this delay that's going on. So it sells that brief breath as like the ranger has stabbed and the orc is just like questioning all of his life decisions up until this point. Ah, so good. So good. Great job, Warren. Like, just a lot of intensity. Oh, I love that punch. A lot of good sounds going on in there. Great job. Gaffney 91. Go away, you. So it does sound like there's a sword sound missing. Oh, okay. So it's the same thing where you were giving sword sounds to the human. No. Okay. Yeah, there's just like a sword sound missing in there. I like a lot of the decisions that you made. Again, I wish there was some more intensity to the attack. There's a nice little build during that sword swing. Actually, no, I take that. So, I like the drone sound that you were using underneath it, but I would like to have had more of a build during that sword attack. And, but that tone in terms of, I think you used that starting after the punch, right? Okay. So same thing like what I said for a few videos ago, that drone that you're using underneath would have been nice to have it start right after the punch where the orc starts to glow. I like that decapitation sound because there's a lot of intensity going on, which is something that I've been talking about, like making it more intense. I just think it's a little too loud compared to everything else. Like it feels like everything's building and then boom, it's hitting right at the end. You give it this snap that's going on, like that feels really good. Hello, Mr. Justin. So, yeah, I think spending some more time giving it that build during the rapid sword swing, because again, we want to go into this, like, move until right into the face stab, where then we get to feel everything stop and basically do a hard cut on all the other sounds. So it's like move, stop. There's this brief pause, and then the decapitation. On some of the sword swings, it sounds like there's some flamming going on between the sword sounds and some of the other sounds you put underneath, unless there was something else you were trying to animate that I wasn't, or you were trying to give sound to that was animated that I didn't notice. But I like the variety that you've created, and I liked a lot of the drone sounds that you built in underneath. Like I said, just having that drone sound start earlier when the orc gets hit, because now he's glowing blue, and we want to give sound to whatever's animated on stage or on the screen. Great job, and really glad that you're part of our community and that you entered this month. Encato. Hey, it's Ariel Merritt. First entry to the Blipsounds. The points going up is extra. Okay. I don't want to butcher your name, so I'm going to apologize. Is it Niam? Is it? I'm really sorry, but you're very welcome for the feedback. The points going up is extra noise. But thank you for submitting and being part of our community. And Justin, I might have. What name do you go by on Twitter, Justin? And then I can tell you. So, that was a lot louder. That was really intense. Okay, Nevi. Oh, is it Neve? So like Neve, not Neve, but Neve. Pipe dream. Let's see. Did I'm not sure, but if you, Justin, if you want, you could post a link in the Challenge Talk channel, and so yeah, challenge or post your link in the Challenge Talk channel, the Twitter link or whatever, and then I can let you know if I did it or not. So yeah, it's oh cool. And are you living in Ireland? Because if so, that's another sound designer in our community from Ireland. But yeah, so now I don't remember which one I said second. I said Eve. I'm really sorry. I just want to make sure that I'm always pronouncing names correctly, because I hate the thought that I'm mispronouncing names. So I apologize. Yes! Yeah, I can't wait to see what you do for June. So thanks for being part of our community. London at the moment. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, because it's oh no, it's not too bad. Well, it's only 10 o'clock for you, so all right, Miss Ariel. So I'm digging a lot of the intensity that's going on. The sword swings. I like some of the variety that you were creating. Would have liked to have heard some more build underneath it. I do like that slowdown effect when you were like... So that's a really neat effect. I like the sound that you were giving there. For your first entry, it's a really strong entry. It's good intensity. Just like I said, there could have been a build in there because, again, I'm going to be a broken record for everybody who's been watching the stream. Like, yes, Brian, you've been talking about this incessantly about movement and stopping, and dear Lord, can you just move on from it? So yes, I will move on from it. So having that motion stop and hit, and yeah, I know I said I was going to move on from it, so there's movement and then it stops and it creates that slowdown effect, like it exaggerates it even more. I love that last hit. Like, you give it just that deep bass underneath it. Really, really good. Great job, Ariel, for your first monthly competition, and I can't wait to see what you do for June. Justin Pipe Dream. All right, whatever. Oh, I did. Yes, Justin, I did. I did your video just a little bit ago. You were... No. Yeah, I did already. Pipe Dream. So, yep, I did your video already. But I'm glad. Thank you for sending it in so that this way I know that I reviewed your video and I didn't leave anybody out. Ariel, you are welcome for the feedback. Thanks for being a part of our community. Where was I? I had just... Oh, so now I get to do Scrosh Malosh. So I know that there's like a few second delay from there, so you're probably... Never mind. I don't even need to go into that. It was just my weird mind. Again, one of my nitpicks for the sword attack between the Ranger and the Wraith, that when you're not giving the attack some of the sounds, it just feels very disjointed, where like it feels like attacks are missing. So I know the effect that's trying to be created, and I agree with that, but it sounds disjointed when you're visually seeing an attack but you don't hear anything. I like that little whoop right before the sword attacks. That's an interesting choice to have that stab with the... I was like, what's happening? He deleted his stuff. That's an interesting take, like having that stab, like... It's interesting. It moves the pause to a different section. So I like the interpretation. I don't know that I agree with it, but I like the interpretation. Because I feel like, so, you know, that there's the camera jiggle, everything slows down, and then it picks back up again. Oh, you're fine, Justin. I just thought it was funny. I'm looking over, I'm like, things are changing, but I don't see anything new on screen. So, but yeah, like I said, I like the interpretation. Don't know that I agree with it, but I like what you were trying to do, and that you took the creative liberty. You took the chance to just go, hey, let's see. I just now noticed your hashtag. I thank you and I hate you. Really nice. I like it overall. Just like I said, a lot of intensity going on. Some good builds. Again, nitpicking gives sound to the orc being wraith stunned, and to have some more build during the sword fury. And we all know why. I think you all could now tell me why there should be a build during that sword fury. I think all of you could write master level's thesis now on what I've been talking about. I am Astro. Done. So, Astro, there's some really cool things going on. There are things that it wants to be, and it's so close, because you started out really strong, and I got really excited. Like, right there. Oh, I love that. That sounds so good. And so you have this sound right when he does this punch. Granted, the actual transient of the punch I feel was a little delayed, but it sounded so good right out the gate. And then we get to this part here, which I like the sound of it. Like, it sounds very, like, mechanical, and it sounds very intense, and I love it. But there needs to be something underneath it. Like, I want it to build. I want it to be doing something. Like the sound is telling me, I want to be doing more. And then it dies. Like, it stops right at that punch. There's no reverb. There's no tail. There's nothing underneath it. And I had such high hopes. I started, I'm like, yes! And then it dies. And Astro, I has a sad. I don't want to has a sad. Because there's so many cool things going on in here. And I just want to sit here and just look at the first 2 seconds of this video. Because, oh, that's so good. Like, it's just so well done. And then, like, those sword sounds are great, but there's nothing going on underneath it. There's no build. There's no movement underneath it. I want there to be something moving on that just, like, gives it this intensity. because you know we have the screen jitter that's going on. We have all this like visually just all this insane action going on screen. So having that, even taking that similar build, even taking some of those sounds and using that as a build, like this, just to have it underneath would be so good. Astro, you were so close. You were right there. And you've given me a sad. Except for these first 2 seconds. This makes me a happy. I still like that you animated the head, and I'm still angry, or not animate. I like that you gave sound to the head, like as it drops on the ground, and I'm so angry that I didn't do that I didn't think about that. All of you are better than me. I'm super late. J. George VGM, like. Your second attempt at sound design. Oh man, again, like I love you and I hate you. Like I hate you that it's your second attempt and that sounded so good. Like I'm so mad at you. But I love you because my God, that sounded good. So man, I hope you keep doing this because I can't wait to hear, like if you're here now, I can't wait to hear what you keep doing. By the way, I take it VGM means you do video game music. If you do music, please share links, like either like in the off topic or on the music channel. Share a link to your work because I'd love to hear your stuff. So I am Astro. Yes, adding in some more layers underneath there just to give it more movement because it started off really strong and I was so excited for it. Oh, I love that. Oh, that sounds so good. I'm going to drink from my favorite mug, so I no longer has a sad. Oh, I love coffee. Coffee loves me. Yeah, great job, Astro, especially on that beginning. I think continuing that intensity throughout would have taken your sound to like so many more levels and made it really good. There was a lot of good things going on in there, Astro. Man, I hope my voice is going to hold out. Theo, I think the biggest thing, and sweet, J. George, I'm glad you've gotten more validation to continue. Please do. It sounds incredible. I am Astro. Like, I hope that this helps you to grow as a sound designer. I hope you'll be part of our June sound design, and I can't wait to see what you create. Theo, my biggest thing, and surprisingly, this has been the thing that I've talked about the least in this competition, has just been, again, there's a lot of mid-range going on, a lot from that like 500 to like 5K range, that there's a lot of that, but there's not a lot of low end for intensity, and there's not a lot of high end for clarity. I like that low-end drone that you were using, but I would have started that low-end, I personally would have started that low-end drone at the face stab. So part of how I think of the video, I guess I probably should have talked, I don't remember if I talked about this in my breakdown video, but I broke up this attack in a few different parts. So the first part is the initial punch and the stun. Second part starts here with the sword attack, so with the sword and wraith attack, and that includes the punch. And then this is the third part. Boom. Starts right there, and then the ending is right at the decapitation. So I count the punch as part of the second move. And I've noticed a lot of people, I think, thought differently than me because they would have their sound stop right at the punch rather than continuing through. And so why do I make that change there? Well, a couple of reasons. I keep the punch as part of it because you notice right as he goes in for the face stab, watch what happens. The camera does a tilt and then it zooms in on the face stab and does the jitter. So that tells me right away that we're now going into something different. Even look at the camera, how the camera moves here. So you do the punch, you run forward, and then the camera moves in tighter when you start here, when you start doing the sword swings. And then the camera tilts and moves in tight again. And then everything goes back to normal after the decapitation. So in a sense, it's almost like a bit of a 3-act structure. So we have the first act is the punch and the orc being stun locked. Second act is the sword swing. And then the third act is face stabby McStabberson into the decapitation. So this is why I'm always talking about having your sound continue on. Don't stop it at the punch. Don't treat the punch as now the start of the third act. Treat the punch as the ending of the second act. And then boom. So that's why I wouldn't have started that low end rumble at the punch, but I would have started it at the face stab. But I like that you added something in there because that low end rumble again sells that like, hey, things are different. Something is different now. So, like I said, great job. I like the movement. I like that everything feels tight. I just wish that there would have been some more low end to create intensity and a little bit more high end for clarity, and then to pull a lot of those mids down just to clean things up a bit. Jack R.S. Thompson. I like that little pew. I think you did that after the punch and before face stabby. I wish that you would have had some more intensity on that last decapitation. Not last, there's only one. On that last hit on the decapitation. Because you have really good intensity on face stabby. And then there's just, when you don't have that low end, it loses all that energy. It just slows down. So it's like, this, bah, wah. You know, it sounds like he's just like, I'm brushing aside, I'm done now. Whereas like his body movement is like, like it is an intense swing. It should sound like it. Bah! Like he is swinging for the fences. Similar thing too, again, I don't know if there's a plugin that you're using, but it's adding some sort of like background hiss or something going on. Yeah, like I said, just going for some more intensity. The sword swings here. It doesn't feel as tight as it could be. And again, that could be there might be some layers missing or something like that. It doesn't feel like those swings could be as tight. We got Alcor. Hold on. Alcor Tabacop. Okay, I'm apologizing if I'm messing up your name. So if you could please just let me know like the best way to pronounce your name so that I do it right and give it the proper justice it deserves. Also, Alcor, thank you for being part of us. This is your first redesign. First challenge is always the toughest, but congratulations, you finished it and you submitted it. And to me, that is the hardest thing. To me, like for me, the hardest thing is just getting it done and submitting it. So great job on that. Great job on putting it out there, like being willing to put yourself out there. It can feel like a lot. So my critiques for you is that I've talked about this in a lot of videos. So when we're doing oh, you just finished the course too. That's awesome. So we use frequency to create different types of effects. So low end, and when I say low end, like I mean anything sub 200 frequencies, but even anything at like between 60 and 90 hertz, that's going to be where a lot of your weight and a lot of your intensity lies. So if you want to make something feel heavier, feel boomier, something feels like it punches harder, you want to add in some of that low end, like anything below 200 hertz, because that's really going to sell intensity. Your high end, which is anything over 5K, that's where our clarity comes in. So that's when you might hear people describe it as air, like that's the air frequencies. Some people would even say like 8K or above is air frequencies. That's where your clarity is going to come from. That's where your your high end information lives. And then everything between 200 hertz and 5K hertz is, we can just kind of broadly call it mid-range. Now we can have low mids, mids, and high mids, which all exist in that spectrum. Your 200 to 500 is going to be a lot of your chesty sounds and what we call mud. So if something needs to sound thicker, we can pull up between 2 and 500 hertz. And if we need something to sound a little bit thinner or something that sound muddy, we can pull down between 2 and 500 hertz, somewhere in there. And then your kind of 1 to 5K is going to be a lot of your upper chesty stuff, like in human vocal cords, and can be a place where you can add a little bit more smack to something. So if you need something to have a little bit more like kind of smack or clap or something like that, you can pull up or pull down in those frequency ranges. So in here you have a lot of high-end information. And again, going back to a term I've used before is psychoacoustics, and basically it's just a really fancy academic term that means how we use sound to inform us about things that are happening. And a lot of these things are based on how we've grown up in the world. Heavy things sound deep and bassy and boomy. Small things sound very light, sound very high pitched. So it would be weird if a mouse is walking for it to be like, because it's a mouse. It's like, versus like you would expect an elephant or a big creature when it's walking to be like, because they're big. If you watched an elephant walk across the screen and it goes, it would sound really weird. Your mind would go, I don't know how to make sense of that, because it should sound deep and heavy. So when we talk about adding intensity, when we talk about wanting to add more punch, we typically mean let's add some more low end to it. So with your sound here, to add more low end to this punch, we want to, take some of the sounds, and we could either pitch them down entirely, like bring them down, so now they're taking up less. They're taking up more area in the lower frequency, and then we could use that to add more intensity to that punch, because it's really nice. It's got a nice snap to it, but it doesn't feel like it's an intense punch. Because remember, it's leaving the orc stunned. He's like, he's stunned from the wraith hit, and he does the ranger does a swing around, and he has a very powerful punch. We want to make it sound like that, so we want to add some low end to it, and then we want to add some reverb to it as well, because now we have the orc is stunned, and he's coated in blue, and he's just kind of waving back and forth. I love that you got some of those chime sounds into there from there, like when he does the face stab. Great job in terms of that. I even like that you took a similar interpretation to a lot of people, and you did sort of like a pitch shift with a sweep on that second punch. Hold on. So right before the stab. And then you even gave sound to the head dropping. I could hear the little going on. And so then the other thing that we talk about as sound design is that if you see something on screen, you want to give it a sound. So the orc goes blue. So first we see his arm light up. So we want to give that some kind of sound, and then when the orc gets punched, he's glowing blue. So we want to give that some kind of sound too, and then we want to do this build here because we want to create energy before we get to that stab, so that we make it feel like it's going from fast to slow. So overall, like I said, there's not really any low end in your sound, so there's nothing that makes it feel intense. So the ranger is going crazy and swinging for the fences, but it doesn't feel like it's intense because it doesn't sound like it. So we want to add more low end to that, and then we also want to make sure that if we see it happen on screen, we want to give it some kind of sound. So thanks for being part of our community, that this was your first redesign. Again, like, that's huge to do something and put yourself out there like that. And I hope you'll be part of our June contest, and I can't wait to see what you create then. Great job. All right, Dim Sum Daddy. So I like the low end that's going on here, Mr. Max, but there's no transients on this punch. Like, it sounds like a whiff. I like that bass drop that you got in there. And again, I hear that build that you're doing with the tremolo, and I wish that would have continued on into the face stabby. Again, the sword swings don't feel as tight as they could be, and again, that could be just because how you're differentiating the sound between the wraith and the ranger. And I feel like it's missing a lot of intensity because there's a lot, like, you could add so much more reverb, like, to, like that face stab and then into that final, decapitation, just to really sell, like, to sell his anger and intensity. And again, going, like, I like the sound that you layered in with the punch, but I wish like, you have a really nice bass tone in that sword swing, and I wish you would have had something like that with the punch. Like, I like a lot of the low end that you were getting in there. I just wish it would have been peppered more throughout to create more intensity. All right, Jim Hootman. Wow, that was really, really interesting. Oh, oh. So I like that sound. I think it's after the punch. Yes, so I love that sound. What I wish is that rather than cutting it right there, that maybe you would have taken like the wah, 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 and then maybe drop it down and do a volume and pitch rise, maybe even some tremolo stuff, and have that carry through all the way to Face Stabby McStabberson. But keep also that, whatever that high-end UFO thing is going on. Yes, very sci-fi. And then, like I've said for a lot of other people, that last decapitation, I just wish that that was more intense, that that had much more like a boom to it. Because part of when you have like that bass tone like cut and then you have a new build is that it constantly feels like there's a lot of starts and stops to the sound rather than just this one building moment to the climax. It almost sounds like a little splash, like a cymbal splash on a drum set. That final hit. Nip, 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 nip. But yeah, like, great job, and like it feels tight, it feels good. I wish that little bass tone that you got after the punch would have continued on through the rest of the sword attack. Eugene Yu. So I like that you gave sound again to the Wraith. Like this Wraith stun, really, really nice. I wish that there was more of a build during the sword swing. And again, I know I've talked about this before, but when you're layering in that punch sound on the sword sounds, but only for the Ranger and not for the Wraith, things don't feel as tight as they could be. And you definitely could have added a little bit more reverb on that face stab just to accentuate everything that's going on. But yeah, overall, Eugene, I really enjoyed that. Like, thanks for being part of our community and submitting that. Mr. Jonathan. It would have been nice for there to be some more transients on the sword attacks. Because it sounds like you have everything going backwards on it. So which it's a neat effect, but because it sounds like it's going backwards, it doesn't feel like there's that intensity. I like that opening sound. Like, that's a really nice Wraith stun sound. And then I love that, like the sub frequency thing you have going on there. That I like that ending sound. That's really cool. Again, I love the interpretation. I don't know that would necessarily work in game itself, but the fact that it does that when it fades to black is really, really good. Creates a nice sense of I don't know how to describe it. It's just a really neat effect. It's a nice punch sound too. Like, there's a lot of good layers in there. The sword swings sound really tight, like tight in terms of movement, and everything feels good. I just wish that they had more transients, more sharpness to them. I mean, there's a lot of really cool things going on, so I really like what you did there. And then just that effect at the end, like that's really cool. We're in the home stretch. Evan James, is a lot of intensity going on, and I really, really like that. I think that opening punch could have been more intense. It's hard because the sword attacks feel tight, but not quite. Yeah, like the first few feel good, and then after that, it feels like they're not in sync. And then that was a punch, not a sword swing. But I love that sound that you get when he does the face stabby. A lot of really cool sounds in there. I do wish that during face stabbing McStabberson, that you gave a little bit more time before that chime noise came back in. Ah, no, what did I do? A lot of really cool things. I like a lot of the layers that you're doing and a lot of the sounds that you add in, so great job with that. Oh, such a nice job, Evan. All right, Fran Noble. Very nice. So I think you could have had a little bit more. I like the build, but I think you could have had a little bit more of a build during the sword attacks. But I like how it pitches up, and it's almost right there. I like how it pitches up and has movement, and then you keep a lot of that going until face stabby. Oh, and that was really nice with that shook and the pause. Oh, that pause, that's so good. I like the bass that you get in there. Really, I think for a lot of these attacks there could have been some more transients to them just to give them some more sharpness. But overall, you did a really good job, and I love a lot of the sounds that you got. Really, really nice. Really nice job on that. And last one, Hollow Core. Sounds very, very gory. So a lot of good things going on in here. I love that you gave. I think the sword unsheathing was a little too loud, but Fran, you're very welcome. But I like that punch and then that after it. I would have liked some more variety from the sword attacks. It doesn't sound like there's as much variety. It sounds a little too static. And I would have liked for there to be some more droning underneath from the orc having turned blue, but then also a build underneath the sword attacks. Really nice at the ending, and again, just having something that helps to sell that the world is slowed down a little bit. But the gore sounds really good. Like it just has this nice juicy feel to it, and overall, like I like a lot of what you did. There's just, you know, missing some of those elements that would help to really round things out, but great job overall. And to everybody, great job to everybody that participated. As you can see, we had 40 entries this time around, which is a lot, and had me going for 3 hours, almost losing my voice. So we are very clearly going to have to think of something that we'll need to do for the future in terms of like how we approach this. But great job, everybody. Absolutely loved everyone's videos. So glad everybody was part of this. And I can't wait to see what you all do for the month of June. You can go to blipsounds.com/competition to learn more about June's contest. And after this, later today on Discord, I will be posting a link for everybody to do a community vote for so the community can vote for their favorite video, and I'll talk with the judges so we select our favorite video, and then we'll also select a random roll. We are going to be announcing just some other changes for the competition coming up here shortly. Again, thank you all for sticking with us. Yes, I am. Thank you all for sticking with us as we've been trying different things with the competition, just to figure out like the best way to make it beneficial for you all. So stay tuned for some more of those, and stay tuned for the announcement of July's competition. I'm excited for that one too. So I hope you all have a great weekend. Stay safe. Continue to stay safe. Love you all, and can't wait to see what you do for June. Peace out.